Here. What's up, everybody? We're back. 3 Count, part 2 of the Payback preview show. Jaquan, Benny, and myself, Paulinho. We here, part 2, day after Smackdown. Let's go with this. They added 3 more matches to the card. We'll start off with the Mysterios versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Not sure why they added this now after Raw and so late into it, but this is a match. I don't see any special speculations for this one. This is a regular tag team match, unless they add something tomorrow during the preview show. Benny, Jay, what are your thoughts on this one?
I don't think they're adding anything to it. I think they're just trying to keep the feud alive because there wasn't really, because Rey Mysterio couldn't get involved and because they did what they did with him kind of wanting to be a part of the match but always being pulled back. They're going to give him the almost sense of retribution to team with his son. I think it's personally unnecessary, but then again, I think that it has a lot to do with Ray's contract. So, it's one of those, it is what it is. I hope it's in the beginning of the card and not towards the middle, because I feel like this is one of those P-break matches. Like, as much as I love Dominic and I love Mysterio and they're exciting to watch, I don't care about this feud. I really don't care about this feud, and it's not due to anything else but the fact that we know that they're building towards Prince Mysterio, and that's great. But, I mean, SummerSlam was a pretty good way to end it, unless you just want to have the faces come out on top. But to do it at Payback is kind of a cop-out. So, I mean, I think that the Mysterios come out of it because I just want this to end. So that's just my prediction, because I just want it to be over.
So you going with the Mysterios?
Yeah, because I just want it to end. But I hope that they do it in a way that Dominic can be written off and then reintroduced in the NXT.
Benny?
I don't know if you can go back from facing off against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam to NXT. But honestly, this has to be the Mysterios, because if you think about how the Monday Night Messiah thing has been going since it started up, aside from the Kevin Owens WrestleMania match, they haven't really lost anything. So I'm like, you got to have, and I'm sorry, the McIntyre match, but the Seth Rollins wasn't winning that at all anyway. But Rey Mysterio's been pushing for this. This is one of the main reasons why he wanted to come back when he was negotiating this contract, is because he wanted to be able to team up with his son. And I honestly think it would be a disservice to the Mysterio family to have them go out there and just continue to get beaten down in this rather pointless feud that happened because of the fact that Seth Rollins couldn't handle the fact that Becky Lynch was pregnant, because that's where all this started. Was the night that Becky announced that she was pregnant. That's how this started up. But like I said, I got to go with them on this one, because, like I said, I don't see any reason for them to sit up here and actually keep beating the Mysterio family down over and over and over and over again. Every heel has to have their comeuppance at some point, and this needs to be it.
Also, an interesting nugget would be that Austin Theory, as much as Seth Rollins was publicly advocating for him to return, has permanently been moved from Monday Night Raw to NXT. So he only has one disciple, and I think they need to just move on to recruiting another disciple, because this is kind of pointless now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went from having AOP and Buddy Murphy to Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory to just Buddy Murphy. The whole point is it was supposed to grow, and it should grow. I'm not disagreeing it shouldn't, but you can't keep him with just Buddy Murphy for this long. Even if Austin Theory was suspended, you still should have pulled somebody in. Even if he wasn't, you should have still pulled somebody in. You can't. How can you call him the Monday Night Messiah, have a group of faction, and just be one person, 2 people, or just him in a tag team?
What about you, Paul?
Um, I'm going with the Mysterios. And my internet's unstable. Hold on. Hello?
I hear you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
internet cutting out. I go with the Mysterios on this one. But I agree they need to add more people to that stable. So we'll see where it goes. I don't want to see this end unless they put Buddy and Seth on the shelf for a little bit.
I mean, they're gonna have to because at this point, when did Becky Lynch announce that she was pregnant? It happened after Money in the Bank,
April.
which was
It was,
April.
yeah, it was
So it's what,
after Mania. No, after
May,
Money.
After Money in the Bank. But
Money in the Bank. So it's what, May, June, July, August. She's about 4 months pregnant. So I mean, he cannot be home. He probably can do another 3 months, but at this point, it would just be more beneficial to storytelling as well as just a courtesy to someone like Seth, who's been a workhorse, to give him that freedom to, you know, be with his wife, you know, work, I guess, kind of focus more on his school in Idaho and give him the same space that you gave to someone like Finn Balor, the same space you gave to someone like Miz, because I think Seth Rollins has more than earned that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Going on to the next match we have that was announced: Matt Riddle versus King Corbin. Finally announced this match. It's supposed to be on SummerSlam, but they pushed it back for Payback. And in part was they waited till yesterday to actually get to that point. Benny, what are your thoughts on this one?
Matt Riddle needs to win this, and he needs to win it convincingly. King Corbin hasn't been doing a damn thing. What possible way could they spin it to say that he deserves to win this match right now? Or what possible way could they spin it to say that he gains more from winning this than Matt Riddle? Riddle is your new hot star. And considering Roman Reigns now being portrayed as a heel, you're going to need somebody to step up in your top babyface spot. Why not Matt Riddle?
Bro.
I'm done. You can go on.
Okay. I wasn't really sure because Paul is staring at me between the monocles of the abyss. I think this is one of those twofold situations where King Corbin didn't really want to work with Matt Riddle anyway, so that's probably why it took so long. And King Corbin thinks highly of himself, as he should, because he has put in a lot of legwork. But what I can say is, you don't just need, because at this point, the rumor is that, you know, Roman and Braun are going to be the top heels and The Fiend is going to be a top babyface, which I guess if you want to take the Undertaker version of babyface, that's probably what The Fiend's going to end up being, which is fine because I like the whole Alexa Bliss angle that we spoke about off camera, where she starts to slowly descend into madness and kind of becomes the Harley Quinn to his Joker. I like that idea. And it keeps him as a hybrid. But the problem now lies, you don't have baby faces. Your top baby face, in essence, is Jeff Hardy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with the fact that it may, you know, Jeff's as healthy as we hope he is, he may be on his last leg. There just isn't enough. There just isn't enough baby faces in the company that look strong, that can hold promos, et cetera, et cetera. And hopefully this is rectified with the upcoming draft, which we'll talk about later. But at the moment, there's a very large void of SmackDown's top babyface that needs to be filled in some capacity, because the heels are doing phenomenal work, and I don't mind any of the heels right now. They're all doing incredible work. The problem is, without the crowd, it's hard to build that baby face, and it's hard to build someone you care about, especially when you keep putting the guy who you're saying is supposed to have a babyface run in 6-man tag team matches with Sheamus, Miz, and John Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk about that. But you have to build your quintessential Vince McMahon, long-haired, baby blue-eyed babyface to go up against the top heels. And I think Matt Riddle not only has the wrestling and fighting acumen, he also has the attitude that you love to hate.
Mm-hmm.
A la the sarcasm of The Rock with the callousness and carefree recklessness of Stone Cold Steve Austin, without having that whole I have to be a big bad dude in order to get over kind of mindset. Matt Riddle is very much, I'm gonna punch you in the face in the ring and I'm gonna get mad and show that ferocity in the ring, but shaka bro. And I love that. And that's why I've always loved Matt Riddle. So I think if you're gonna start to build if you're gonna strap the rocket to the guy, like, it's now or never. It needs to be, it can be a good match. And of course, Baron Corbin is a great worker that'll make Matt Riddle look really, really good. But it cannot be a Charlotte Flair situation where Baron Corbin is a no-sell, Baron Corbin gets 90% of the offense, and Matt Riddle wins by the skin of his teeth. Can't be that. You cannot have that.
No surprise roll-ups.
No surprise
No grabbing
roll-ups,
the tights. None of that.
No, none of that. If it's going to be a submission, let it be a submission.
Vince, we're talking about.
If it's going to be a submission, it needs to be a submission. If it's going to be a finisher, which he has, at this point, he has more finishers than half of NXT, which I love, but dang, Matt, like, give out some finishers, please. I mean, but that's what I also like about Matt Riddle, that he's strong, he's athletic, he's quick, he's versatile, and he can basically work anybody. And his promo work, as long as you don't give him a script and just let him be Matt Riddle, he can go toe-to-toe with anybody. And he's the perfect antithesis to all the top heels right now because he is so chill. He is so carefree. He can be what Orange Cassidy is for AEW if they book him right. Like, he can be the Orange Cassidy for WWE because that's essentially how you want to build him. So, I mean, if they're smart, this is just the beginning of, you know, Matt Riddle's rapid ascension. And hopefully, I'm calling it now, Royal Rumble win.
Damn. We'll come back to that in a couple months.
But I mean, again, I say that because Payback is such a throwaway pay-per-view. You have to make this mean something in the grand scheme of things.
It is.
If you're going to make it mean something, it has to start Matt Riddle's rapid ascent to the top of the card.
No doubt, no doubt. So I agree, Matt Riddle. You can't have him. You can't give him a push and lose to Corbin. He has to win convincingly.
Yep.
He can't win by a roll-up. He has to show his ability to submit and win and finish, which he will. And as long as Vince likes him, we'll be all right.
And as long as they keep going with the whole Shorty G's kind of mini heel turn of, like, he's going to become, like, one of the King's men. I like that because Shorty G or Chad Gable or whatever you want to call him is an incredible wrestler.
Yep.
So he can wrestle in spots where Baron Corbin doesn't necessarily have to, and can lean more into his strengths of being that cocky, condescending, annoying heel.
Yeah. So we're looking at here, another faction needs to be built, which is fine. I'm okay with that, but it needs to be built right. And
Absolutely.
Before we get to the last match, I want to talk about the Roman Reigns segment last night, which we got the confirmation he was a heel. And I'll just say this. I really hope this leads to the buildup of what used to be a stable for Paulie Dangerously or Paul Heyman, which was a Dangerous Alliance. Can you imagine him have his own little stable and faction with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and they're already two of the heavy hitters right there? And across two brands, and then for both champions. He has both heavyweight champions. Like, that's a lot to work with. You can do it. It can be done. It's just a matter of if they will do it.
I don't think that is, one, a good idea, two, something that WWE is interested in, because I think the point of Roman Reigns turning heel and the point of Roman Reigns becoming a Paul Heyman guy is because you need someone to supplant Brock Lesnar as that dominant, domineering, big man type of heel where he does what he wants when he wants, and he will essentially be booked probably similarly to a younger Brock Lesnar. But because he's Roman Reigns and because he's a fresh talent, WWE cannot be accused of relying on part-timers. Plus, now with everything going on, Brock Lesnar is just too damn expensive. So you can get the same effect, which is what they should have been looking at a long time ago, that you get with Brock Lesnar with Roman Reigns. And because Roman now has baby twin girls, he has the cancer scare, and now you have a situation where he could work and could not work, whether you want to give him a lighter schedule up until things ramp up again. It's easy enough to book him like Brock Lesnar. Now, I agree with the Paul Heyman stable, but don't come bringing back Brock Lesnar for anything at all whatsoever.
Well, it's going to be there because of the fact that Brock is a Heyman guy. He's going to be there. Doesn't have to be full time, but he's going to be
retired as far as I'm concerned. And that's how I'm looking at it. Brock is retired because if it takes you $25 million to show up on a regular Monday night show, you're retired, bro. Like, you're at home, you're chilling with Sable, you raising your kids on your farm in Canada. You did everything that you needed to do. There's no reason for him to come back. And I'm not paying this man $25 million for 5 minutes. It's unnecessary. I don't even think Paul Heyman wants to work with this dude anymore, personally.
Damn.
I don't. Because if you look at everything Paul Heyman's been doing, Paul Heyman's essentially been trying to find the next big thing. And that's the thing with WWE. They hold on to the old timers a little too long, which is why I'm happy they did what they did with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Because they essentially gave you what you wanted with Randy Orton, and they gave you the old Randy Orton, and they used him to get over Drew McIntyre immensely. And now, instead of Drew, now you get to use him to get over an extremely fresh talent to now be your second big baby face on Raw. That's how you should be booking your part-timers, not them holding titles for 2 years and beating and killing every other push on the face of the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have Roman Reigns. He's going to get over because it's easy enough to book him as a heel, which is what he should have been booked at right after he got out of the Shield, along with Rollins, not, in tandem, but in separate, but still the same kind of.
I think he should have stayed the face. I think he should have made that heel turn sometime afterwards, later on, after they hit the whole feud with Rollins after he betrayed the Shield and broke up the Shield.
I mean, again,
I'm not disagreeing. He should have gone heel. I just think
he should have gone heel a lot sooner. I guess that's what I'm getting at. He should have gone heel a lot sooner, and you could have. Like, I'm so happy I hope they don't book him with that stupid Shield vest. I really hope they don't. They need to give him new gear.
Yes.
Because you have to, in essence, bury the Shield. Like, was it one of the best factions probably of all time? It has a case. It definitely has a case. But like you don't want, like, we didn't talk about Bret Hart. What is it now? 5 years removed from the Hart Foundation as still being a part of the Hart Foundation. Like, there was no remnant of the Hart Foundation. It was just Bret Hart. Like, we didn't look at Stone Cold as being a part of the $1 Million Club after he became Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock didn't have the only thing that was the same about his look after he left the Nation of Domination was his trunks. But he completely created a new look after the Nation of Domination. And Roman Reigns is long, like, Dean Ambrose / John Moxley has already distanced himself from it. Seth Rollins has gone through several changes to distance himself from it. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I'm down for them to have new theme music as long as they don't do what they did to Keith Lee's theme music. I'm down for him to have a new theme, a new Titantron, a new logo, a new everything, because that's what you have to do to separate Roman Reigns from the Shield. And he needs to be separated from the Shield. He just does. Like, if you want him to be The Rock, you want him to be Stone Cold, you want him to be Bret Hart, you want him to be Brock Lesnar, you can't keep treating him like he's, a Hardy Boy or a Dudley Boy, or you can't keep treating him like that. Mm-hmm. You can't. You have to cut ties. It was a great run, but it really ended in 2015. So you're 5 years overdue at this point.
Yeah.
And with him being a Heyman guy, I'm sure you guys can come up with something in some kind of, because again, the chest isn't even, it's not bulletproof. It's literally just a thin leather at this point. It's a look. He's not a security guard. He's not the military. That's not his gimmick anymore. He's not a hitman. Give him something new. And the dude just got jacked. So it's heck, give him a tank top. I don't know. Do something.
Do something. What are your thoughts, Benny, on the Roman Reigns?
Long overdue. I will say that. Part of the issue right now is the fact that Jaquan took a lot of my points that I was actually going to say.
My bad. I apologize. My bad.
But he's 100% right. One of the biggest issues with Roman over the last couple of years, aside from the idea that he was being forced down everybody's throat when the crowd wanted something else, is the fact that he never let go of the Shield as a character. He's coming out to, it's not exactly the Shield's music, it's a bit of a remix of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still coming out to the Shield music. He's still coming out with the vest. He's still with the ooh-wah and all of that other stuff. That could be a part of his character.
I was about to say, that's Samoan. That ain't got nothing to do with the Shield. That's just Samoan.
The reason why I bring it up is because of the fact that was his thing when the triple power bomb,
mm-hmm.
they were going to use that. And then he just decided to transfer that over to right before he uses the spear and everything. I honestly think, I've brought this up to you guys before, but right about now, with him, I would take it even further. Retire the Superman punch. Retire the spear. It's time for some new finishers. Go out there.
The fall-away powerbomb that Kane had for a little bit, perfect. It's it was a snap, fall-out powerbomb.
I'm going to say it like this, because I don't want anybody using anything that looks remotely like the Batista bomb. I'm going to say the jackknife powerbomb.
Oh.
The release powerbomb that Kevin Nash was doing.
Here's the problem with that, though, because you can't do that on a guy like Strowman.
I was going to
say, but that's the thing. That's the thing. I brought this up to y'all before as well. He can do the release powerbomb for these other guys. However, Roman Reigns is a killer now. He needs a move that's lethal along with that. Now, I was Jaquan didn't like this junk before, but this is one of my favorite finishers in all of wrestling. Give that man Hell's Gate. You will never see that finisher again because the Undertaker's gone.
No,
yeah, but I mean, it doesn't convince me with him because I don't see him coming back. It doesn't work for him. It worked for Matt Riddle. It works for Matt Riddle. Hell's Gate.
I don't want Riddle with it. I don't want Riddle with it. The thing is, with me, it fits Roman's character because he's still he's like the hitman type person. I'm gonna take you out any way that I possibly can. If I can't overpower you, then I'm gonna put you down this other way.
I'll take it even further back. Mark Calloway back in WCW days, he had the heart punch finisher. They should bring that back as a finisher for him for Roman when he does when he fights Brock or Braun. People he can't put in that power bomb.
Oh, I'm sure he could powerbomb Brock. It's
Yeah,
just
Brock,
it's
I can
just
see as a
Strowman.
power bomb. That's the thing, and that's why I like either the release suplex. I mean suplex, the release power bomb, or the fallout one, not the sit out power bomb, not the Batista bomb, where the power bomb where he literally goes up and he falls with the guy, and then it's
I
like
think
a
KO
photo.
did that. I think KO did that for a while.
Well, KO also has a release power bomb. He has that pop up power bomb.
Yeah.
That's basically a half jackknife.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why I don't want him to get rid of the Superman punch. You know what? Actually, would be great for him? Bring back the clothesline from hell. Bradshaw's clothesline. Because you get that, yeah, to replace the spear. Because again, if you give him that power bomb that he can do to guys to manhandle them, and then you have to give him a quick move that's killer. And that's what I'm saying. The Hell's Gate, Roman doesn't strike me as a submission artist.
No.
And it's a situation where he would have to get too technical, and Roman is more of a bruiser. He's not a technician.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that's gonna work you with arm drags and elbow manipulation and gonna work you. He's not that dude.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
He's gonna
he can become
punch you in
guy later
he can
on.
become that guy, but it doesn't even fit his physical build.
Like, right? I mean,
his physical build doesn't make sense.
But I mean, look at Cena. Cena had some submissions too, though, and he was
bigger. But Cena again because he came in as a wrestler. He came in as I'm gonna work you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna slow drag. He's a bigger version of Johnny Gargano with a smaller skill set.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, it's like
Roman Reigns reminds me very much of physically, from a physical standpoint, he reminds you of Farouk and Bradshaw.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He can
give him the clothesline from hell. It makes a lot more sense, and he kind of already does it. He does his I forget what the term is, but like when he starts getting hot, he does those clotheslines. But you do it in a way where it's almost like he has to look so lethal where it looks like he takes the guy's head off. And you have to almost sell it as if it's almost a strike, and it looks like he's gonna do Superman punch and he just clotheslines you. And it's almost like he clotheslines you and you're done, like you're gone. But the problem is you have to get him in situations where you can sell that, because that's kind of like the Black Mass or the Claymore. Like it has to be a one-hitter quitter.
Yeah. I mean,
but
this is
again my only problem with the Hell's Gate is that like you can't. It's not a move that you can get too quick.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of those.
I would love to see somebody do it quick, because you can actually do it quickly. It's just a matter of you stand the chance of kicking the living shit out of somebody if you do.
But that's what I'm saying. It's such a technical move. The only person that I could see doing it is like Matt Riddle or Shayna Baszler.
Well, they're trained to do that shit.
Right.
They're both MMA fighters, and you're talking about a go-go plotter, which is what the Hell's Gate actually is.
Right.
But the reason why I bring it up is because of the fact that move is, if you look at it and you understand what that move actually does, that move is very heelish.
Oh, it is.
If you think of what it actually is supposed to be, like you're legitimately jamming your shin into somebody's throat. So it's one of them things like, all right, this is what this thing is, and I'm just like, all right, that kind of has to go to, if anybody's going to carry that move on, it has to go on to a heel. And my thing is, why not the biggest heel in the company at that point?
I get the logic, but again, it doesn't fit the guy.
If any of your top heels, with the exception of AJ, if any of your top heels can pull that shit off, I think Roman could.
I don't know. I look at him more of like, if you're gonna do that, I can see him doing like a dragon sleeper, like where he literally like knocks out the guy's flat out on his stomach, and then he just yanks him up and has him and just arches his back, and you just see Roman talking mad crap, and then you just see it like you see the muscle stretch out somebody's throat. Like that's more heelish Roman, because again, it gives you a little bit of that, and I hate to use the word, but it gives you a little bit of that savagery and that relentless animal that comes out of I'm the man, I'm the big dog. It gives you more of a big dog kind of imagery versus the Hell's Gate. And I think, honestly, AJ would be the guy to do it, if I'm being truthful, because it fits AJ's wrestling style.
The Hell's Gate?
Way more, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can imagine, like, it looks like he's going to do a code breaker, but then he does a code breaker and holds you in there. And then it's like, oh, my God, the Hell's Gate. And it's like,
I'm sorry,
you
because
don't see it coming.
I know exactly where he would go with that. That move would no longer be called the Hell's Gate. It'd be like called the Phenomenal Fence or something, just because he's AJ.
Yeah, and it would be like, what? I could see him going something so simple as like, it's the Phenomenal Finisher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, really, bro? Really? Oh, the Bucks won?
Yep.
Ooh, bye.
Series over.
Oh, 4-1? Okay. Yeah, they can't be losing next round, though.
Let's go. Look at the last match here we have scheduled is Big E versus Sheamus. Okay.
This one kind of sucks because neither guy can really afford to lose. Like, Sheamus is just coming off losing the rivalry to Jeff, and Big E's at the beginning of his push.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, unless you're gonna have Sheamus be the type of like he doesn't strike me as a weaselly kind of heel where he can continue to lose, but he's just gonna act like a tough guy.
But
like Sheamus needs wins.
Sheamus could take the loss right now and then come back afterwards. Big E.
I mean, yeah.
If we look at it, like we were talking earlier, they have a lot more heels on SmackDown than faces, so he can take the L to help Big E. Excuse me, to help build Big E. You know, which I think is what might happen on this one.
Isn't what's the next? It's Clash of Champions after Payback, correct?
I think so.
It's either Clash of Champions or Night of Champions. One of the two of them.
Clash of Champions.
Clash of Champions, because I don't think I think they retired Night of Champions. I'm only asking because Payback also would kind of be the starter for the Survivor Series cycle. And I'm looking at it from a situation where it's probably going to be a three-way situation again. So because the top stars on SmackDown are going to be heels, there also needs to be a little bit of baby faces in those teams. So it's a situation where you have to kind of build up baby faces now so that they look like they make sense later. Because right now, the three guys that stand out to me that would be on that team would be Jeff Hardy, Big E, and Matt Riddle. And then you have like Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and like Baron Corbin or something, because I don't feel like The Fiend would be involved in a Survivor Series situation. Unless you're going to have him wrestle as Bray Wyatt. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of who are you building as your faces going forward, or as your top singles faces? Because again, it's like Kofi's out 6 weeks. That's the kayfabe, like that's what they're saying, but we really don't know. We have no idea when Xavier Woods will come back. We don't.
That was like 4 or 5 weeks ago, though.
No, it was like 2 weeks ago. Like his push just started.
It's been a little longer than that.
Started. Because it was after the last pay-per-view, which was like 2 weeks ago. Because that's when he got put through the table in the tables match.
Yeah, that was Extreme Rules. That was a minute ago.
I know I'm not bugging.
Look, man, we're in the middle of quarantine, all right? The days are merging together. Nobody's blaming anybody for anything. As far as I'm concerned with this one, though, the only way you can justify Big E losing is if you're going to go the route to say Big E right now, as a single star, is not ready to go out on his own, and he has to, quote-unquote, break away from the New Day. He has to build himself up to
it's really been over a month.
yeah.
It's been about. That's wild. It does not feel like it's been like. What have they been doing with him this whole time? Anyway, don't make that
I
sense.
don't know. Listen, my whole thing
I'm
is, I'm
sorry,
like,
he's too busy feuding with the Miz right now. Which,
yeah.
not to mention, why is the
Like I said,
Miz still host of Talking Smack? Why are we doing this? Why is Xavier Woods not the host of Talking Smack? And he
you know
commented
why?
on it, and he said that it's supposed to be like, oh, I'm going to be going forward. But then the Miz shows up again next week, and it's
Because having Xavier Woods and my wife Kayla Braxton on the show together is just too amazing. So they have to lower the awesomeness level by adding the Miz to it.
see, but that's the problem because Kayla Braxton is supposed to be the neutral person, a la Renee Young, where it's yes, she's the baby face, but she's also very neutral and like news and interview oriented. If you're gonna have a color commentator, the color commentator can't be a heel all the time when all you have on the shows are heels and the only baby face you have you're starting a program with. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, man.
It doesn't make a lot. Like Daniel Bryan didn't start programs with the Miz until much later into that run.
Mm.
But overall, even the heels got along with Daniel Bryan, a la the Usos.
That's because they were afraid of catching a knee to the face.
But even still, Baron Corbin got along with Daniel Bryan, and that was the
That's 'cause he's
beginning
a
of
bitch.
Baron Corbin become Baron Corbin. But I mean, like you can't just have a heel all the time being heelish, and it's like that's why I'm like that's why Talking Smack to me is a little annoying right now with the Miz there. It's not that the Miz does bad work; it's just the Miz's character in general doesn't fit what you want to get out of that show. You want to build other stars. You want to build feuds. You don't want him constantly sitting up there antagonizing. That works if he's coming on the show, but being a host of the show, it doesn't work because you completely neutralize what the point of Talking Smack is. It's for the people to talk smack, not the host to talk smack.
I got an idea about it.
Unless you have Xavier Woods be a second host.
Drop the Miz and put Pat McAfee, future WWE Hall of Famer.
I don't hate that either because Pat McAfee can give you the heel and the face, and he can talk trash to the heels too.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying.
I'm perfectly fine with that, but I would much rather, sorry, Kayla, I'd much rather Xavier Woods and Pat McAfee then.
That'll work.
Yep. So who are you guys picking for the winners again?
I got Biggie. I'm saying the only way you can justify Biggie losing is by trying to spin the story that he can't win without the New Day and have his build be to overcome that.
Mm.
I mean, wouldn't you have already had to start it, though? You can't just have him win, and be the quote-unquote locker room leader only to turn around and say, hey, he can't win. It's like,
I mean,
but he has.
That would make sense, but...
I'm sorry. I'm
talking about.
Yeah, I'm using dummy. That's you're right. That's my fault. That is my fault completely.
Jay, you have Biggie too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of and let's talk about the Alexa Bliss slight turn we talked about off camera. Let's bring it on camera. So in case nobody saw SmackDown last night, what happened was, what was that? Nikki Cross and Tamina were talking, and Alexa Bliss comes in, and she comes with the pigtails, and she has the one, was that one braid?
She had the one dread.
She has the one dreadlock in
one
there.
dreadlock, and then she phases out. Jay, you want to tell us what's going on? And
it essentially turned into, Nikki Cross asking, as she always does, if Alexa Bliss is okay and how she's worried about her and things like that. And then she comments on the dread, at which point when Nikki Cross mentions the name of the Fiend, Alexa Bliss kind of goes into this place, much the way Bray Wyatt does when he starts talking about him, quote unquote. But then Alexa snaps back, as in like she's trying to put her face back on to be like, oh, everything's fine, everything's okay. And then Nikki is like, I'm only here, I'm worried about you, blah, 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 blah. And Alexa Bliss at that point then snaps and says, if you're really my friend, you would accept the fact that I'm just trying to try something new, and you would accept me for who I am. And she breaks the mug that Alexa Bliss herself got for Nikki Cross to culminate their friendship. As in, you're starting to see the pieces of Alexa Bliss kind of fracture, and she's becoming more of what she's quote unquote supposed to be, playing into that storyline of whoever comes in contact with the Fiend becomes the truest version of themselves, which also plays into the pigtails because Alexa Bliss, in her height of her run as a heel, very much wore those pigtails when she was SmackDown Women's Champion. So it's almost like she's going back to an older look, the same way Finn did when he reverted back to the Prince. But she's also adapting different elements of the Fiend himself. And the way I see it is, instead of her interfering in the match, like was initially planned, they're gonna slow burn this a little bit to you see that the Fiend's influence almost starts to take over Alexa Bliss as she becomes a like Harley Quinn female Fiend version of Alexa Bliss, because it doesn't seem like they're going the Sister Abigail route, but they're going to go some sort of dark Alexa Bliss Fiend type of Harley Quinn-esque character that can then go into a Harley Quinn Joker situation with the Fiend, and even get to a point where she hosts Firefly Funhouses as Alexa, the bubbly Alexa, and then they both have like their Fiend, almost like a schizophrenic dual personality situation, which I personally am enjoying because that's the first time. It's kind of what we wanted years ago when Stephanie kind of got put on the Undertaker symbol, and you were like, oh, is Stephanie going to go dark? And she starts to go dark a little bit and then gets quote unquote rescued. It's along the same veins, except for the fact that now, because Braun's a heel, no one can quote unquote get to Alexa, and Alexa kind of goes down this dark path and kind of slow burns a heel turn, but not only a heel turn, but a character change, which we can all agree that Alexa Bliss kind of needs at this point.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit up here and say I have an issue with Alexa Bliss's character, but her character has been the exact same character pretty much since she's come up to the main roster. So, I mean, the character change, I'm not going to go out there and say the character change is needed, but I'm going to say it's damn sure welcome. This is kind of sort of how I was hoping things would go, or rather how the majority of people were hoping things were going to go when Liv Morgan's vignettes were actually starting to air when she was getting ready to come back, because they thought that she was going to re-debut as Sister Abigail type, that type of character. But even though, like, lost opportunity for Liv, Alexa Bliss, in my honest, humble, and very, asshole-ish opinion, is probably the best actress on the entire roster. So I'm pretty sure anything they throw at Alexa to say, listen, we need you to do X, Y, and Z, she's going to take and run with.
Right.
And is going to turn it into something amazing. So, like I said, I'm 100% with it. I want to see where this goes. And if this goes where I think it's going to go, I am damn sure that by Royal Rumble time, if not by WrestleMania, Alexa Bliss will be women's champion again as this new dark character.
For sure. And it would be a situation where, unless we're not done with the Bayley Sasha thing, I would have no problem with it, because she's been so far removed from the women's title picture. Rightfully, like, if you're going to look at the blueprint of how you go from having a top heel, remove them, turn them face, and then naturally get them over so that they can be champion again, you would look at Alexa Bliss last maybe 3 years, because they've done it with her spectacularly. Mm-hmm. And she's gone through so many elements and character developments within her singular character that you can almost kind of pinpoint how she took the best of all the women that failed in storylines. Like, she's the best of Charlotte Flair, who gets a crap ton of title shots.
Mm-hmm.
But with Alexa, as soon as we started getting tired of her was when they pulled the plug. And then she's kind of now becoming, in a weird way, she's becoming Nikki Cross when Nikki Cross was Insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And she's injury prone, but she's not injury prone as Sasha Banks. And she can go heel or face, but she's also a better actress than Bayley, Liv Morgan, and everybody else. So she's and I hate to say this because I used to ride Alexa Bliss really bad for her being over pushed. She's probably the best overall performer in the women's division of WWE. Just because of her range and her versatility and her ability to change wrestling style, along with her gymnastics and the fact that her wrestling has constantly gotten better and her in-ring work has gotten better. And now you're giving her a platform where she can have that reckless style that Nikki Cross did, with the crispness that she had when she was a babyface, along with the visceral that she had when she was a heel. So you're if they do it right, because now WWE is starting to become synonymous with canceling storylines just when they get good, a la Hackmaster 3000.
Mm-hmm.
If they go through with this, it could be, she could probably get a lot of the same drawing that Becky Lynch's The Man had, along with The Fiend, and because we haven't had a female dark character, I don't believe.
Mm-mm.
We've never had a female dark entity.
Mm-mm.
And that
the closest was Sean, probably.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's the closest thing to it has been Luna Vachon, but that was years ago.
Right. And it wasn't dark. It was just like kind of like, I guess you want to call it a little.
It was alt. She was an alternative type character.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could say Ember Moon, but Ember Moon never really delved into the things that her character could have delved into.
Right.
Like, she had a different look, but the character never really matched her look. And she never spoke. Like, if Alexa Bliss can start to adapt some of the vernacular of a broken Matt Hardy and a Fiend, where her promos and her the way she speaks to you starts to become a, like, almost like she's speaking in third person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something that we've never seen before. And I think with WWE and with wrestling in general, it's hard to find that. And I think that's what makes this so exciting, is it's something that you've never seen before.
Let me ask you.
That's what makes it really, really good.
Let me ask you all a question. Jay, I don't know if you know who this chick is, but Paul, I'm pretty sure you do. If Alexa glows this split personality type route where you get damn near cheerleader Alexa on the Firefly Funhouse, and then Harley Quinn, like not even Harley Quinn, just female Joker out there in the ring. Do you think that this would be WWE's answer to somebody like Abaddon in AEW?
I mean, yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
Is Paul lost in the void again?
No, he's just not speaking.
No. No, I agree. I think it is. And I think Alexa might do a little better job because of her acting skills on it. And because so here's the thing. When somebody puts a character out there and someone wants to replicate it, they already have the advantage because they see what works and what doesn't work. So they can recreate it as their own with a different twist. So I could see Alexa Bliss, because she's well-versed, like Jay said, in her acting ability, she could probably pull this off in a much better way, probably take it to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that we already seen bubbly cheerleader type of Alexa, and we're going to see a darker side of her. So she can pull this off, and I'm waiting to see where this goes. Hopefully WWE doesn't mess this up, because everybody's been clamoring for storyline that actually makes sense and has actually is a good one. But like we've been saying, I think Jade is pushing this most, or you, Benny. This is one that's been going on for so long and nobody's been paying attention to it, and it's still going on. Like not just Alexa, but Braun was the last one. And that was why I brought the question if Roman had ever messed around in a match with the Fiend over Bray Wyatt because of the fact of this turn. I would have liked it that if they had a match with Roman still being a babyface and we saw this turn, because like you say, there's always this dark entity inside of people, and when your true self comes out when you face the Fiend. And remember, when Roman first came in, he was part of the Shield. The Shield were heels. They were big heelish faction. So this was actually worked to the advantage of like, hey, look, the true self of Roman is actually a heel. So it's coming out. So I would have preferred that they would have had a match with him and then this happens. Because at least then you can point to this and it follows the storyline of it,
It would have happened if WWE didn't get money hungry, and instead of booking this match that was supposed to be their first encounter at WrestleMania, they had him drop the title. They had the Fiend drop the title to Goldberg.
Yep.
Yeah. Their first meeting was supposed to be at Mania. Now it probably still wouldn't have happened
because of COVID.
Because of COVID. Mm-hmm. But the idea that you think now you can book it and it's supposed to sell when you didn't believe in it at WrestleMania is almost laughable logic to me, because it's like, well, you had the chance to do this already. You just didn't do it because you were too scared of the fact of, oh, I'm going to rely on bigger names to draw Mania because, the world is, because we're going to Tampa and blah, 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 where it's like, if you had that stadium and you had those graphics and you had that space, do you understand how you could have just gotten the Fiend over from an entrance alone?
Yep.
Like
the moment the Fiend debuted at not WrestleMania, at SummerSlam last year, where I couldn't really figure out what was going on in the music and everything like that. But then after listening to it on YouTube a million times, like, we all did, figured out and found out that they were yelling hurt heel. Imagine the crowd in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium, hurt heel. They're sitting up there chanting and yelling along with it. Because regardless of how you try to portray the Fiend is always going to get cheered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, again, and they had that banger of a feud back when it was the Wyatt family versus the Shield, which is the only connection Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt actually has, which, again, still goes into the MO of the Fiend, where the Fiend has only gone after people that Bray Wyatt is feuded with. He's never gone after a new person. Realize that.
The only person that falls under that category is Goldberg. That's WWE just being WWE.
And it was just because Goldberg came out and it's like, all right, you're in my way. Cool.
Yeah, it was.
But the storytelling behind it, because Bray Wyatt had such an extensive run as cult leader Bray Wyatt, he quote unquote touched so many people that you can go back to any number of matches to say, hey, let's redo this feud. Hey, let's redo that feud, yada, yada, yada. But, I think because Roman is what he is, and now he's a Paul Heyman guy, it opens up the possibility that the point is not to touch Roman Reigns. The point is to touch Paul Heyman. And what would happen to Paul Heyman if he came in contact with the Fiend?
He turned back into Paulie dangerously.
I mean, maybe he goes back to that old ECW, or maybe he becomes a Paul Bearer kind of character. Maybe because again, as Paul Heyman goes, now so does Roman Reigns. So what reigns can Roman Reigns have as a heel, and what stories are you going to tell with him as a heel? Because now Paul Heyman's his mouthpiece.
Although Roman, if you let Joe speak, he don't need
Well, I
no
mean,
damn mouthpiece.
I like this.
I'm not saying
Well, I like
I'm not
the
saying
fact that you can kind of hide him a little bit and let him work it like here and there, but yet let Heyman kind of take control majority of the talk and conversation.
Right.
You know, like we saw last night. Roman spoke a little bit, and then Heyman kind of finished that conversation. So I can expect some of that, but sometimes a little more Heyman than Roman, and I'm okay with that because Joe or Roman needs to pretty much work on his character a little more, on this heel character, because I don't think we haven't seen all of it, so we don't know if he's got it completely done or if he's still working on it.
I wonder if he's gonna be the guy that he is now, but then he's also gonna bring back that gimmick that he had in FCW and in NXT, where he's the guy that walks around in suits. He's this businessman that's very like who am I thinking of that's almost not the Miz per se, but you remember how The Rock came out with like the crazy colored shirts or whatever, but it was him very business like. It was like the corporate version of The Rock. I wonder if they're gonna do that with Roman Reigns, because the way they're marketing him is they have him on the red carpet. They have him done up in suits and in very formal attire as if he's all about business and he's a company guy. You put him with a guy like Paul Heyman and he keeps talking about my client, my client, my client. You put Roman Reigns in a suit and he comes out with the championship, and you let Paul Heyman just go off the way he did with Brock, and instead of making him look like a prize fighter, you kind of make him look like almost like a Conor McGregor kind of situation. That's gold. Because now it's like you have the verbal sparring of, you can always say, well, you're letting your little puppy talk for you, but then you also have Paul Heyman's elite promo skills to go up against any baby face that comes up and win. So it very much, and you can keep the title on Roman for a very long time that way and have it be storyline, kind of the way they had with Shayna Baszler. Like it can be storyline beneficial, but keep the title on him. It makes sense.
Right.
It's just like you said, it's a very curious situation to see, is he going to just have solo clients, or is he gonna create a stable? And if so, who would you put in that stable? That's my biggest thing, is I can't see anyone where I'm looking at them like a Paul Heyman guy that's a heel. And that's even on SmackDown, because the only other guy that would make sense would be Big E. But I don't see Big E going back to the AJ Lee, Dolph Ziggler Big E to do that.
I got one. Like I was saying, I want to see him go cross-brand. Heyman go cross-brand. Aleister Black.
That presents a very interesting dynamic.
It does. Because Aleister Black is dangerous. We know he is dangerous. We know he's
not the typical size of a Paul Heyman guy either, so it'd be something different.
Yeah.
It'd be something very different. And again, it borderlines on, like, if he were to manage Aleister Black, that borderlines on Paul Bearer right there. Like that, you're playing in that Paul Bearer, Buddy Love during Undertaker's run kind of thing. Which, again, it would be a very welcome change. But then again, on that situation, like, do you then have Roman Reigns show up with them, or do you just have Paul Heyman show up with them?
But see, here's the thing. This is why I'm saying it's a cross-brand, because they are starting to put a little bit of reality into some of the storylines. Like Sasha Banks, Bayley told her, hey, you shouldn't have defended your belt on the pay-per-view. You know how you don't win on pay-per-views when you're defending your title. So, like, there's...
I didn't hear that part, but damn.
Yeah, they said it's something to that point, pretty much. So what I would like to see is Heyman going across brand, but like, hey, remember that job I had as Raw executive producer or this and that, whatever, and you fired me? Well, now I'm going to start taking over everything with the wrestlers. Little by little, I'm going to take over. I have Roman on SmackDown. I have Alistair on Raw, and I'm going to build myself a stable, and I'm going to take over everything. And you can't do anything about it.
I mean, you wouldn't call it a stable, but
Yeah, no, but we can call it whatever we want at the end of the day.
I think agency works.
Yeah.
Right. We could figure that out afterwards, but it's just that the what I'm looking at here is what could be done with all of this, and you can use that whole thing when Heyman got fired from his position over at Raw. You can do that, and it'll be a good storyline too. It works. It works. It works, and it would be a good one.
I just didn't think of Alistair. I just didn't think of Alistair Black.
Right, and here's the thing, though. But the thing here is we have the what you call it, retribution as well coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the tweet, but what's his name? Dominic Dijakovic put a tweet out. It was encrypted, and they said they ran it through and it said Sunday. It meant Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see what happens tomorrow night on the Payback pay-per-view. If they show themselves, unmask themselves, or whatever tomorrow night, it'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, because it's already, like we've been saying, one of them happens to be Dominic because of the height and everything, like Dijakovic.
Well, I'm one of the originals, because the problem that I'm having with Retribution is they haven't decided on who's a member of Retribution.
Right.
Because every week it's a different group of people. Every week it's a different number of people. So it's like, I like it that it's a really large number of people. I like that. The problem is these people have to make sense. Even if all of them aren't revealed and there's just a bunch of grunts that cycle from NXT, I'm okay with that. But you need your main players, and you need a reason why it's called Retribution. Right. And why they attacked the way that they did, and why they're basically anarchists.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, you have to.
Because I mean, in that case, to me, Killian Dane would make sense.
He would.
He would make his character would make a lot more sense to be a member of Retribution. Dominic Dijakovic doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
The members of Retribution need to be everybody that was fired over the last couple of weeks, over months.
Well, you could use that, but you can also, they were wrong somehow. Like Austin Theory. Austin Theory part of it because he wasn't wrong. They got demoted to NXT, and you know you can do other wrestlers that were wrong somehow. You know, it doesn't have to be just that. It could be other ways as well.
Off topic, Russell Westbrook has suited up.
Yeah, I heard about that. He was practicing.
He's out there.
I mean, I don't really see how that's going to affect the outcome unless he turns into Oklahoma City Russell Westbrook and not, helper Westbrook. But we'll see.
Before we end this show, we want to give our condolences out to the Armstrong family for the sudden passing of Bullet Bob Armstrong. Also, terrible news in sports world as well, not just that. We lost Cliff Robinson from the Trailblazers. And in the world of entertainment, the one that hit me the most was the loss of Chadwick Boseman, Wakanda Forever.
Of which I have to throw my little salute out there myself because I am rocking the King colors today. So had to.
Today's been a rough day in the world of entertainment, all sorts, sports, movie, and again wrestling as well too. So it's been hit hard today with those 3 losses. We want to say our condolences to families of all 3. It was a lot to take in for those losses. It's a lot, and 2020, man, that it needs 5 black masses, 4 knife power bombs, 2 sweet chin music, and 1 Stone Cold Stunner. And like Benny said, that thing will probably still kick out at 2.
Probably.
I think too, pissing me off right now.
I think what we need to kind of reflect on is the fact that, life really isn't promised to anybody. And
Yeah.
while you're here, it is imperative that, as Chadwick Boseman said, that you lead with your purpose. And some people's purpose is just to make people laugh. Some people's purpose is just to entertain. Some people's purpose is to inspire. But always lead and lean into your purpose, because your purpose will always direct your path in the way that you're supposed to go. And I think that a lot of us, because a lot of people not knowing what Chadwick was going through, we tend to make light of people's appearances and things that they go through, not understanding and not really, you know, being able to comprehend the suffering that they may be going through. So I think we all just need to take a second and reflect and just be a little kinder and do things that are more from a we perspective and not from a me perspective, because you can walk into any, you can walk outside and you don't return home. You can be up one day and down the next, and you never really know what the person next to you is going through. So I mean, it doesn't cost anything to be kind, and it doesn't cost anything to be a good person. And all these people that are passing were exemplary people. And I read a quote earlier that some people are meant to show us how to survive, but once their journey is done, they move on. So I think it's imperative for us to reflect and to take these lessons on how to survive just being human and implement them, so that maybe everyone can have a little bit of an easier time and everyone can grow. And it's not a selfish situation where only a few rise while the rest of us suffer. No one needs to suffer. We can all grow and be better people because of each other. And I think that that's something we really should take from the loss and the extensive losses that we've seen this year.
Yeah, yeah. The Kobe loss was another one, big one earlier this year too, as well. The
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman one rocked everyone as well. Our condolences go out to everybody who lost their loved ones there as well. So we end the show on that note. Unfortunately, it's a sad one, but it's time that we pay our respects, and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you on the next show of the 3 Count. Thanks, everybody.
Wakanda forever.